Hello, this is Christina Barton. You're watching Black Tea News. Hello. Welcome to Black Tea News. I'm your host, Christina Barr, and today we're going to be talking about Elon Musk going off on Disney and all the advertisers who have been pulling their support from X. And he just dropped some F-bombs and stuff, and I'm not a fan of the language, but I didn't have time to bleep it out, so I just want you to prepare yourself. But he let it be known that you cannot blackmail me into compliance, but there was a particular part that I don't think is getting enough praise about how people try to have a sense of virtue about them and look good, but not actually do good. And I think that really sums up a huge problem with our world today, that we want the kudos, but none of the actual morality. And actually your kudos shouldn't matter. Doing the right thing is what should matter, but we just want to look good, but not actually be good and do good. And he laid that out. So we'll be talking about Elon Musk in that big viral moment. And we will also be talking about Trump and how he is very happy to have BLM support. Now, he doesn't actually have BLM support. There was one person who's associated with BLM in Rhode Island and who went on Fox and announced his support, and BLM, has been distancing themselves from him. They're like, this is a gimmick, this is a stunt that he's pulling, and they're trying to say, oh, he wasn't that associated and etc. blah blah blah. But he has been associated with them, but I don't like it. I don't like it. And it's fine. Whoever wants to support Trump is, that's more votes for the Republican candidate, right? I don't like that Trump legitimized BLM with his happiness to have their support that he announced that he doesn't actually have. So we will be talking about those things. I guarantee you that'll take up the hour, and we'll squeeze in some other things if we can, but that's gonna be the chunk of it, the base of it. So before we jump into it, I want to encourage you guys, go to blackteanews.com, check out different content on my website, different articles, different videos, etc. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation at blackteanews.com/donate. It does cost a stream, run my website, all that stuff, so you guys can support in that way. I very much do appreciate it and appreciate you guys. We have different merch that's available at blackteanews.com, like the Black Tea News mug here that you guys can get. We got some other mugs as well. We also have different shirts that you guys can get and check out, like the I am not the victim you're looking for shirt, which a lot of people really like that one. It is a good shirt. When I wear it, people give me loads of compliments on it, so you too can get one. Someone said talk about how Rhode Island is so small. I don't like this, guys. But anyway, on this Saturday, my youngest sister is hosting an art showcase. I've talked about it, and I will continue to talk about it because I'm a proud big sister. And if you are in the area, or if you know someone in the Metro Detroit area, it's in Oakland County, downtown Auburn Hills, I encourage you to come. You can buy a ticket. It's $15 if you want to get a either $15 for the general admission, or you can get a I don't remember what the deluxe ticket is called. We'll just call it the deluxe ticket, and it's $25, and it comes with a admission, but also like a discounted mini. And there's going to be food and drinks, but we'll enjoy some good art. So I'm going to show a commercial that I made for such an occasion, because I love my sister and I want people to come and support it. So when I look at your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars which you have set in place, what is man that you are mindful of him, and the Son of Man that you care for him? Yet you have made him a little lower than the heavenly beings and crowned him with glory and honor. Because of your little faith, for truly I say unto you, if you have faith like a grain of a mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move, and nothing will be impossible for you. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat of its fruits. Yep. So my sister's actually in the chat on YouTube anyway. So her website, as the video says, tinatexporters.com. So you guys can, again, check me this Saturday. I know some people who are local. I know people watch from around the country. People watch from around the world because they're interested in U.S. politics. Like sometimes people in the U.S. are interested in worldwide politics. So not everyone can physically be there, obviously, but you guys can do some stuff online and participate in that kind of way and purchase stuff online if you would like to. But if you are local or know someone that's in Michigan or, Ohio borderish kind of area, because there are people coming out of state, I encourage you guys to come and hopefully I'll see you and buy some nice paintings. Anyway, side note, my sister did do my book cover for, of course, God is blatantly against abortion. She did the art for The Hand of God reaching out to the baby. So it's a beautiful cover and she did an amazing job. So I show that all the time. So that's the person who did it. And she's having a showcase this Saturday. So much love to baby sister in the chat. Okay. So I think I want to go ahead and start with Elon Musk situation. So Elon Musk has a very vile rant. Everyone is talking about it, at least in the conservative sphere today. And we're talking about it last night. So they're talking about it on their shows today. How he just went off on advertisers for boycotting X, his platform, because they don't think that he is on board enough. They think that he's promoting a culture of racism, homophobia, anti-Semitism, etc., because he believes in the platform being as much for free speech as possible. Now he's not always as, consistent as he could be on that, but he's definitely better on that than other platforms that people have, most other platforms. And so he made a bit of a screw up last week. So he went to Israel, and some people saw it as him trying to get back in the good graces. And so that was sort of posed to him, and he had an interesting reaction and really pushed back on that. So that's where that video basically begins to come in at. So we're going to watch this about 5 minutes, and I will probably interject a time or two, but I thought this was really good, especially when we get to the tail end. Warning again, he's going to drop some F-bombs. I'm not too fond of language, but I did not have time to bleep it. So I just want to give you the fair warning of what's to come.
Now, but there's a public perception that that was part of a apology tour, if you will. That this had been said online. There was all of the criticism. There was advertisers leaving. We talked to Bob Iger today.
I hope they stop.
You hope?
Don't advertise.
You don't want them to advertise?
No.
What do you mean?
If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money, go fuck yourself.
But
go fuck yourself. Is that clear? I hope it is. Hey, Bob, if you're in the audience.
Well, let me ask you then.
That's how I feel. Don't advertise.
how do you think then about the economics of X? If part of the underlying model, at least today, and maybe it needs to shift, maybe the answer is it needs to shift away from advertising. If you believe that this is the one part of your business where you will be beholden to those who have this view, what do you do?
F-Y.
I understand that, but there's a reality too, right?
Yes. No.
I mean, Linda Yaccarino's right here, and she's got to sell advertising.
Absolutely. So, totally. No. Actually, what this advertising boycott is going to do, it's going to kill the company.
And do you think that
and the whole world will know that those advertisers killed the company, and we will document it in great detail.
But those advertisers, I imagine, are going to say, we didn't kill the company.
Oh yeah.
They're going to say,
tell it to Earth.
But they're going to say, Elon, that you killed the company because you said these things, and that they were inappropriate things, and that they didn't feel comfortable on the platform, right? That's what they're going to say.
And let's see how Earth responds to that.
So this goes back to
we'll both make our cases,
right?
And we'll see what the outcome is.
What are the economics of that for you? I mean, you have enormous resources, so you can actually keep this company going for a very long time. Would you keep it going for a long time if there was no advertising?
I mean, if the company fails because of an advertiser boycott, it will fail because of an advertiser boycott. And that will be what bankrupted the company, and that's what everybody on Earth will know.
What do you think then of the, this goes back to the idea of trust, though.
Then it'll be gone. And it'll be gone because of an advertiser boycott.
But you recognize that some of those people are going to say that they didn't feel comfortable on the platform. And I just wonder and ask you and think about that for a second.
Tell it to the judge.
But the judge is going to be...
the judge is the public.
And you think that the public is going to say that Disney is making a mistake?
Yes.
And they're going to boycott Disney?
They already are.
Well, there are some that are for lots of different reasons, but you think that this is going to, that you have this goes to actually the interesting of power and leverage.
Let the chips fall where they may.
So we'll watch the rest of it, but I just want to go in and interject a little bit. This let the chips fall where they may sort of attitude. Not a lot of people have it. So many people, politicians, are swayed by there are things that are right and that are wrong and there are principles, but I can be swayed by lobbyists and money and what polling data says. And sometimes the polling data is reflecting what people feel, or sometimes people ask questions to get different results that they want to move politicians and other people to feel a certain way, or even the electorate. For an example, back in the day, there would be all this polling on like abortion and stuff, and that wasn't accurate to get people to feel a particular way about it and to shift people to a more pro-choice position. And there would be different data as far as like women dying from illegal abortions that wasn't legit. The co-founder of NARAL knew that people lying about the thousands of women dying and illegal abortions wasn't accurate, but they weren't going to correct it because they had an agenda to keep expanding abortion. And eventually, one of the co-founders ended up becoming pro-life, and he spilled a lot of tea and stuff. But people know how to shape public opinion, and so just FYI. So this attitude of Elon being like, I'm not gonna capitulate my platform to these people, and they can't blackmail me and manipulate me in that way. And if it dies, it dies. If it fails, whatever. Now, to us, it would be a big platform failing. There's a lot of people whose influence and money is tied into Twitter. There's people who especially if they have a huge following. Some people would feel that's devastating because it's obviously a big platform that has that allows liberty to say what you feel. And there's a lot of news that people get from Twitter that they don't get from other places. because other big accounts will share different information that will be censored in other places. So it'll be, I think, a huge blow to the public if Twitter was gone, but it was obviously be a huge that's a lot of money that'll be gone for Elon, but he has like screw you kind of money to um be able to have, I guess, that sort of ethic and virtue of I'm going to do what I feel is right and you can't make me do otherwise. Um but I think some of that money maybe gives a bit of that freedom, but I think some of that has to be personality wise, because there's still a lot of rich people who you can still find a way to manipulate them in some kind of way. Some people are just manipulated from the virtue ethics of being bullied by public opinion, and that they will bend over backwards and give up, you know, what they actually feel, or something that's genuinely moral if the mob says differently. So I admire this attitude of Elon here. And he is right. People are boycotting Disney. There's some people, I guess, on Twitter who are saying they're canceling Disney Plus because he's like the public will judge and stuff. And people are boycotting Disney now. Are people in general going to choose Elon over Disney? I don't think so. People just had a gun to their head and had to choose, because Disney has so much history and so much content that people love, that their families love, their kids still love, etc. And Twitter isn't real life. A lot of people use it and it's an important tool, but not everybody uses Twitter. Not everybody is into Disney, but you know, who's a bigger influence right now? I would I'd still wager that Disney, but he is correct that people are boycotting Disney. I haven't watched anything from Disney Plus or even a Marvel film or a Star Wars film in a minute. The last thing I guess I saw was uh maybe WandaVision, I think. And I think a lot of the stuff they're pumping out is garbage, so I don't have that. I don't feel like I'm missing much of anything, but I really didn't like how Disney got involved in Florida politics with the parental rights and education bill. And not only did they speak out about it after being pressured by their own people within who are very woke, they said that they were going to dedicate money to getting laws like that overturned. So I'm like, okay, if you're getting in the way of parents trying to protect their kids and be informed about their kids, um, and you're going to use the money that we supply to you guys through us supporting your companies and stuff, I don't want to give you money. Eric July said that you shouldn't give more than 50% of your money to people who hate you. And I think that's a good rule. You obviously can't ignore everyone, and I'm not shaming people for not watching that stuff. Um, you know, but that that's where I've been. And so I just wanted to speak to, he's right. He's correct that there are people who are boycotting Disney. And that's not the only reason. We had this conversation maybe earlier this week. I can't remember. remember. It's something I've talked about often, but there's so many ways that Disney has made it known that they hate my guts, that they hate my family's guts. They hate our values, our morals, our upbringing. um how my sister raises her kids. They hate our guts, and it's pretty evident, and they're losing money for it, and parents aren't taking their kids to see their movies, and they're not even pumping out good movies, and they're having flop after flop after flop. So do I think people are going to have this big exodus from Disney based on how they're treating Elon, or other advertisers are treating Elon? I don't think so, but I don't think they're in a good boat. And who knows, Elon might expand his money in other ways. He's has a company Tesla, and he's set his eyes towards space, and he's on the social media sphere. But I don't know, maybe there will be other people, if not him, or other very rich investors and stuff, that see a need to fill in that hole. um of entertainment. I know Daily Wire is trying to, and they've come out with some stuff. They came out with their kid stuff. I haven't watched their kid stuff yet. Um, but there'll be other people who will try to fill in that gap because Disney is I don't think making people miss them. Their Wish film is I haven't seen it, but man, people are not saying good things about it. It doesn't look good either way. So Disney is not what it used to be. And the really sad thing about the Wish film is that it's supposed to be like a love letter to 100 years of Disney, and it just fell so flat. And I talked about this the other day. I just don't think they have that magic, that passion. It's not just a values thing, and they just don't have it anymore. They just don't. They don't have that heart. They don't, and it's probably because they have so many. Their minds are focused on so many of the wrong things. People fail upwards in this business. There's a lot of activists pumping out content, and you don't. I'm not saying that you don't that your political views should bar you from getting some kind of job or something, but when your agenda is so obvious that it feeds into stuff, you have people who create content just for people to hate watch it, and hate watching is, a pretty, I don't know, big thing online for content creators who pop out negative reviews and other stuff like that. But don't expect like the She-Hulk writers being like, "Oh, we can't wait for the fanboys to hate this thing," and then, well, they hate it because you're making bad content, and you just preparing yourself for like, "Oh, they're gonna hate this moment." Well, yeah, but it still sucks, and that's still a problem. So you're not making the fanboys look stupid just because you put in some jokes about hating the fanboys, are actually right in kind of Neanderthal fanboys to like hate in the actual show. You're validating them because everyone can see that the fanboys have a point, that you can't write, that you don't have it anymore. Anyway, let's watch some more.
Let the chips fall where they may.
Can I ask why that is the approach? And I ask it because you've been
What's the other approach?
Well, you've been very particular about the approach to Tesla. When you think about the engineering involved in that, the approach to SpaceX, the approach to some of the stuff you're doing with AI has been very specific, right? There's not a let the chips fall where they may approach to those businesses, I don't think.
No, we focus on making the best products. And Tesla's gotten to where it's gotten with no advertising at all.
I understand that.
Tesla currently sells twice as much in terms of electric vehicles as the rest of electric car makers in the United States combined. Tesla has done more to help the environment than all other companies combined. It would be fair to say that, therefore, as a leader of the company, I've done more for the environment than everyone else, and any single human on Earth.
How do you feel about that?
How do I feel about that?
Yeah, no, I'm asking you personally how you feel about that, because we're talking about power and influence, and
I'm saying what I care about is the reality of goodness, not the perception of it. And what I see all over the place is people who care about looking good while doing evil. Fuck them. Okay?
People who want to look good but actually push evil. That is a major, major, major problem today. Disney, pulling ads and stuff from X and, have an issue with him. Disney did now they claimed they weren't the reason why that got put in the film. But do you guys remember when Mulan came out and they had in their credits they thanked a Chinese the Chinese Communist Party group that was associated with like the concentration camps for like the Muslims and stuff. According to The Guardian, Disney had claimed it was not responsible for thanking the Chinese Communist Party, in credits at the end of the film Mulan, saying the decision was taken by local contractors. But man, they were pretty unapologetic for it, and that was a big deal. At least it was in conservative sphere talking about it when people noticed. There's a lot of people who will not take a stand on things, or they won't be consistent. Like when people were very upset about Charlotte's bathroom bill, and then they're like, "Oh, we're gonna extend it to the state where you have to be like a boy has to go to the boys' bathroom, girl has to go in the girls' bathroom, or whatever." And then they try to like businesses started boycotting the state and a whole bunch of other stuff. I think people start pointing out like, don't you do business in countries where they throw gays off of rooftops? So where's your consistency there? Where's your consistency there? Or in Georgia when they wanted to boycott the All-Star game and people wanted to put pressure on the state because they didn't like some of their laws that they had with voting, and there were clearly other states that had more strict policies where they do business in, or where they play games at. And so Kemp like met like I with a bunch of different leaders. Like I interviewed a pastor back then who's from Georgia who met with Kemp during that time, and he assured he talked to the business and stuff and went through the laws, and to just say like all these, this is junk that's out in the media, but they're trying to pressure people to change the laws, but they're good laws that make sense. Um, but Joe Biden was going around saying it's the new, it makes Jim Crow look like Jim Eagle. And people were like, what the heck does that mean? So if you ever see a video of mine and there's an eagle, that's where it's from. That's why, because of Jim Eagle and Joe Biden. So I think Elon is right. People give him a lot of heck, and he's out there trying to do some good to elevate people being able to speak freely, to save the environment, and people don't care. They just don't like that he won't bow down to the diversity, equity, inclusion, to the gag orders that they say that you have to have, the standards that you have to have. And it's not just about the standards, it's also about they don't want a free agent like him allowing information to flow when these groups were connecting with the government and suppressing certain information. Twitter being an open sort of space where a lot of people go is pretty dangerous to them. So there's lots of reasons for them to hate Elon and want him to fail. And he's been attacked relentlessly. But again, I admire his stance, and I think a lot of these companies, there's nothing that I can think of that Musk has done that is more evil than Disney saying we are going to try to repeal the parental rights and education bill, and we're going to take that money, we're going to direct our resources to trying to get it taken away. And just a reminder, if you don't know what the parental rights and education bill is, people called it the Don't Say Gay bill, which isn't actually what was in the bill. They said you can't teach you can't teach sexual orientation or gender identity to grades K through 3. And if in older grades, if it's deemed in an inappropriate manner. But the most important part of the bill was that these parents cannot hide important information from the teachers, can't hide important medical information from the parents. Now there were exceptions, like if they thought like the child was being abused or something like that. But the reason why you needed bills like that is because there were teachers who were having these secret gender plans with these kids, giving them different names and calling them by different pronouns, even like making plans on where they would sleep on overnight trips and all kinds of different stuff, and building this wall of distrust between the parent and the child, building these lies between the parent and the child, building this confusion, treating them, affirmation as treatment, for a mental condition when the parent should be informed so they can go ahead and try to get this child some help, which one father did after he discovered his child was going through this all with the school. And it came to a head when she tried to unalive herself by hanging herself. And so he got her help, and he said that she's better. So I think it's great that Florida had that bill. It's insane the amount of propaganda that was going on social media, especially TikTok, but in the mainstream media to shift what the bill's name is like that, and don't say gay, and you had like different governors making billboards about come to California, come to New York, where you can say gay. Like you can say gay in Florida. That's not what the bill does. And yeah, you can't tell me anything that Elon Musk has done that is more evil than this company that is supposed to be about the family, that made its money, made its brand off of the family, trying to separate and build walls and divisions between the family structure itself. So kudos to Elon. And I the fake virtue, I don't expect it to stop anytime soon, though Disney has recently admitted that the wokeness has interrupted the flow of their dollar. But I don't know if the company is salvageable, which sucks because they have a lot of things that I did really love. My family used to go Thursday nights, Marvel movies, you know? Not just family, we'd invite church members and other stuff. It was a big deal. We'd plan ahead of time, call like, hey, you got this day off, or you're gonna sleep in that day so you can make sure that you know, can catch that movie, etc. Blah blah blah. We didn't want to wait. And now it's whatever. Anyway, moving on. I gotta talk about Donald Trump and this Black Lives Matter situation. So let me go ahead and play this video of this BLM co-founder from Rhode Island. At least that's how he's identifying himself. BLM is distancing themselves from this guy, but he said, "Hey, he's supporting Trump," and people are so happy about it, especially in Trump world. And I think there's a lot of reasons to be suspicious.
Mark, thanks so much for joining the program. This is my favorite story of the day because it identifies with what I've seen in the barbershop. All the brothers, for some reason right now, are turning tides right now. And I just wonder, what is the big reason?
I think personally, it's the duplicity of the Democrats, the hypocrisy. We're not stupid. The brothers are not stupid. We understand when someone's for us and when someone is not. And it's obvious that the Democratic Party is not for us.
Yeah, I keep...
Their policies actually strike at the heart of the Black family and the nuclear family.
Yeah, so, you were a part of Black Lives Matter. You founded it there. And now you're saying, you're not saying the entire Republican Party. You're saying Donald Trump.
I'm going to let him finish, but I will probably repeat this, but I can't. If I was interviewing this man and he decided to say that the Democrats are striking at the heart of the family, and I think there's a lot of truth to that. The Democrat Party, there's plenty of Democrats who love the structure of the family and et cetera, et cetera. But BLM itself as an organization strikes at the family, and they have changes from their website some time ago after it started to get a lot of mainstream backlash, but this is still their ideology and whatnot, that they wanted to do things like disrupt the Western prescribed nuclear family and dismantle cisgender privilege. So to pretend that is just a Democrat problem and not specifically a BLM agenda, I just wouldn't have let that slide for an interview. Not me. But we'll keep watching.
Trump. So what is it about Donald Trump? Is it the economics? You noted the black family. What is it going to take for him to shore up this support amongst black voters?
Well, I just think that it's going to take information. A lot of people are misinformed. They don't really understand because they don't educate themselves on Donald Trump as a person and his history. But if they do that, and it's going to take, leaders, educated leaders, getting the word out there, I think that it'll happen on its own, and it'll be organic because personally, I love the man. I mean, how could you not like if a real man? How could you not relate to someone like that?
Yeah, he watches every morning, so I'm sure he's cheering as you're saying this. We looked at some of the polls for Trump over Biden in the battleground states. In 2020, it was 8%. Now in 2023, he has 22%. And that's just not black men. So the election is right around the corner. If you had the opportunity to talk to the former president, I'm sure he's watching right now, what would you tell him?
Call me on my cell phone, man. I'll stop for Trump.
Mark, I'm fascinated by you. Why did you end up leaving Black Lives Matter? Or are you still affiliated with it?
No. I'm still affiliated with it. All day. Because the thing about it is my message that I preach and that I tout is unity. It's a message of unity. It's unity driven. I want to bring together all the marginalized groups from the margins and bring them to the center because we're stronger together as a one nation indivisible under God.
Yeah. Mark Fisher, I think all Americans can go with a message of unity. We thank you so much for coming on the program. I hope you'll come back and check in with us.
I appreciate you. Keep up the good work, Lawrence.
You got it, brother.
So, professing the 22% versus like with the 8%, is that what it was? We can go back and try to find that. I think it was well, I think it was like 8 to 22 or something. People who believe that right now that there is going to be like just this huge shift in the black vote for Trump and the general. I know people want to believe that, and people have been wanting to believe that. They wanted to believe that in 2016, and they wanted to believe it in 2020. There's this black influencer. He's black, and he's Republican, or I don't know if because there's a Republican and conservative. And he is gay, and he did a post about black support and how all these influencers are really talking about these numbers and like, oh my gosh. And he's like, don't trust people who are just taking this at face value and pumping it and giving people all this false hope. And he said, he would have thought for sure that the numbers would have really, really pumped up in 2020 because Trump was doing all these things. He had the platinum plan, they did the tax cuts, which, and they had, stuff in there that didn't just, help the wealthy or whatever. Like everyday Americans were helped by it. So many people got tax cuts. Even New York Times eventually was like, yep, you probably got a tax cut. You just probably don't know. At which, they lost the media war on that. They increased the child credits and stuff. Tim Scott worked on that bill. They did the First Step Act and gave more money to black colleges, historically black colleges, and a bunch of stuff. And it still didn't really move the needle, especially with black women. They're pretty militant with the Democrats. And people were mad about the small percentage of black men that went ahead and decided to vote for Trump, period, in 2020. And Obama talked about and other stuff. We talked about those stories when they were like, fresh in the news. But he just said he was kind of shocked that it didn't really move much. And this hype that people have, like, don't give your hopes up. Because there's just really not going to be that jump. And people who think there's going to be such a significant jump now for what? Just because they don't like Biden. They didn't like Biden in 2020. They thought Biden was racist in 2020. I don't think people thought that Biden was going to do a lot. They just didn't care for Trump or trust Trump. So do you think now that he hasn't been in office that the only reason for them to be like, oh, we're going to shift to Trump is if they were like, oh gosh, we we were better under Trump, and maybe they'll feel that way. But people can get used to a bad situation. One, but they have no reason to suddenly be like, yeah, we like the man, if they decided that they didn't like the man, he was racist before. What's happened now since then with Trump being out of office? You think him having Nick Fuentes to Mar-a-Lago is going to make the big difference for people? If you think him getting arrested is going to be like, oh yeah, he's one of us. Nope. That's some people think that. There's a lot of jokes going around, and the jokes can be a bit funny, but people who are taking that seriously, like Trump is just going to get the black vote because he got arrested and has a mugshot. Nope. Big nope. So I don't think that big shift that they're talking about now. I don't doubt that he's heard people in the barbershop talking about they don't like Biden. There was a video I played last week of The Rock, Dwayne Johnson talking to Joe Rogan, and he said, "I have Trump supporter fans. I have friends who are Trump supporters. I have friends who are Biden supporters." And Joe Rogan's like, "You have friends who are Joe Biden supporters?" He's like, well, "No, not really." He said, "I have people who are loyal to the party. They didn't really know anyone who's supporting Biden. Nobody likes Biden. That doesn't mean that people are going to support Trump." So I just want to prepare you for that. I'm not going to tell you something just to make you happy. In the case of this BLM leader here, maybe he really feels the way that he feels about Trump, but I don't have a lot of great evidence that BLM leaders in the organization really loved Democrats in 2020. Patrisse Cullors, she had an interview and she said, she didn't seem to have a lot of love for Joe Biden. I mean, Joe Biden, was part of that lock him up bill. Was he not? People have known that. That's not new information that's suddenly going to make the difference in 2024. But the reason why Patrisse Cullors, and I don't have the clip pulled up, but we've played it before. She thought that BLM could get a lot of the agenda and the things that they want done that under a Biden administration versus like a Trump administration. So they're still going to, at the end of the day, want their agenda pushed. And this is a Marxist organization. And I'm not making that up. I'm not being, I'm not exaggerating. I'm not using the boogeyman of Marxism like a lot of conservatives or whatever do. Patrisse Cullors said that she is a trained Marxist. When people asked about, is BLM going to just kind of fall to the wayside like Occupy Wall Street and other stuff? She's like, no, because we have an ideology and we are trained Marxists. So when you talk about BLM, that is the organization. So they believe at the end of the day that someone like Biden, and it's probably just someone with a D next to their name anyway, is going to help them push forward their agenda. Back to BLM talking about disrupting the Western prescribed nuclear family and dismantling cisgender privilege, which was in their What We Believe page, What We're About page, whatever it was. They don't have it on there anymore. You can easily Google it and find it. Yes, they talked about police brutality, not in general. It was not even just police brutality. They have an ideology that police are hunting down and killing Black people. And there was a data scientist from Reuters who actually took on their hypothesis and proved that it wasn't true. And Reuters actually got upset and got rid of their data scientist. He had this huge article that we went through. And used also evidence from other people, including this like Black, I think, Harvard professor who was setting out to prove that Black people were intentionally targeting, the police were intentionally targeting Black people. And the Harvard professor went through the data and he couldn't really prove his thesis. So he figured he must have did something wrong. So he fired everybody who helped him. And then he did it again. He's like, oh, shoot, well, the data is the data. And so Reuters didn't like it, especially like employees within Reuters. And so they ended up firing him. Very interesting story. But yeah, their whole kind of thesis isn't really true. But a lot of their organization is an agenda pushing LGBT stuff. Lots of the money that they gave out to different subgroups or organizations and stuff went toward LGBT stuff. Candace Owens talked about that in her documentary. If you don't watch the whole thing, there's a section where she just goes through the money to drag queens and trans stuff and etc. I think it's like that portion of the film is 5 minutes. It's probably that's probably the best section of the entire documentary, but it's stuff that is not new information to me because I've been reporting on it for a while. I did an article, way, I guess this is maybe back in 2020, about why BLM is duping Christians. And I was not fun in 2020 because every time I saw that hashtag, I was like, did you know they support this? Did you know this group supports this? And like, why just support the movement? The movement is based on a lie. And I was not fun to a lot of people. But they weren't fun either. People telling me, justifying the violence, saying, hey, it's acceptable collateral damage, etc. When people are looking outside their homes to make sure that their communities aren't burned down and whatever, that their local Target or whatever isn't raided. They didn't really act up too much in Michigan. They shut that stuff down. But I remember when stuff was trending, and like, oh my gosh, they're getting kind of close, allegedly. But there are people who've died in those riots. And people said, oh, you care about things more than you care about Black lives. Just crazy ideology to justify the violence. So anyway, not a fan of BLM. And but BLM did not endorse Trump. Just a guy associated who they are distancing themselves with. Unfortunately, though, Trump is talking as if he is endorsed by BLM or he has their support, which isn't true. But him being happy to have it, I think, is a little suspect. Now, I'm not saying that Trump is a Marxist or anything like that, but I just think this goes to poor judgment on his taste and poor judgment on his part. Spoke with Mark Fisher yesterday, a great guy, very honored to have his and BLM support. Again, he doesn't really have BLM support. I have done more for Black people than any other president, Lincoln, ? Including 10-year funding for historically Black colleges and universities where they had none, opportunity zones, criminal justice reform, and much more. Thank you, Mark. Which now Trump wants to have he's proposing some bills that would be harsh and executing like drug dealers and stuff, that some of the people that got out would have been under his bill. So he's having kind of a shift in the primary here, undermining some of his policy wins. So Ron DeSantis wrote, BLM praising Donald Trump and Trump celebrating it. Makes perfect sense. When BLM was burning down cities and assaulting police officers in cities across the country, Trump did nothing but sit in the White House tweeting law and order. We did it differently in Florida. I didn't just tweet. I took action and called up the National Guard. We were not going to let our cities burn. As president, I will not sit idly by and watch rioters torch American cities. Now, during that time, Trump was tweeting a lot of law and order. He was saying, oh, I can't go in. You gotta let me, you gotta ask me if you want my help. Because he didn't want to exercise any sort of like extra federal power or something. Was it Tom Cotton wrote an op-ed about why Trump needed to do something, and people like New York Times just had to fit the staff there. I think they ended up like apologizing and all kinds of stuff. They were so upset, just snowflakes. And I think Trump is obviously opening himself up to this criticism. Now, there's a lot of people in Trump world who are like, oh my gosh, this BLM guy spoke up. Oh my God. Or Rick Grinnell is like talking, he had retweeted Ron DeSantis like, it's a good thing to have more people decide to vote for you. You can't win by subtraction, Ron. That's true. But elevating BLM, being like, oh, I'm glad to have their support, and lending some more credibility to them, is it good? Is it good? Is it good? If Mark Fisher wants to go on Fox and say, I support Trump, other black leaders should support Trump or whatever, that's great. But I don't think you can just go from Black Lives Matter, the people on the right saying Black Lives Matter is a domestic terrorist organization, and then be like, oh yeah, it's totally awesome that this domestic terrorist organization supports Donald Trump. You can't jump like that. People can say, well, they changed. Did they though? Did they though? So this is bad on Trump. This is bad on Trump. Again, they are a Marxist organization whose plans, they have plans to destroy the nuclear family. They have plans that will really disrupt society. They believe in this oppressive hierarchy. They believe in when you have that hierarchy that violence is justifiable, and that's why so many of them, were for the violence, or when the violence was happening, they would excuse it. Patrisse Cullors, also, if you can find videos of her in the past, I've played them, saying that she was for ending the experiment of Israel and other stuff like that. It's no surprise that you see BLM Chicago with the paragliders celebrating them, saying free Palestine, and the paragliders, of course, went into the music festival and killed a bunch of civilians on October the 7th. So I just would not want to be associated with this group. And I don't care that they're black. I don't care that they have black in their title. I don't care how much you want the black vote. You can want the black vote, but you don't have to pander in this kind of way. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. So this reminded me, my sister was in town, my eldest sister, a couple weeks ago. And so we went out to lunch, and she's, I guess more as a brunch time, but we got on the conversation of panhandlers, those people who be begging for money on the streets. And some people go out there and they're desperate and they need money and they ask for money and stuff. But there's people who are professionals and do it for a minute, and they make, a lot of money, 50 grand a year, 60 grand, more than that, just going out and begging for money. And so she started talking about this guy in Tennessee black guy, he'll have a sign that just says F Joe Biden, and he'll have some, American flag stickers on his cardboard. And she has seen white Trump supporters get out their car, go over to him, hand him like $100, and then snap a photo with him, because they want a photo with a black person saying, "Bleep Joe Biden." And, extra props because he's homeless. And I guess that makes him really bad economy, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. And they give him $100. So I bring that up to say, not because I'm trying to discredit the alleged homeless man, or the panhandler of not liking Joe Biden. Most people don't like Joe Biden. That's not so crazy. But I'm bringing it up because people are aware of how to manipulate Trump voters, especially get money out of them, and get them talking and riled up and have viral stuff. And you can have a black person who's like, I'm leaving the Democrat Party, and then people be so excited and want to retweet it, etc., blah, blah, blah. And I'm definitely not accusing black people of being grifters, like all of them, because I'm not a grifter. I've been conservative my whole life. I've been Republican for as long as, I've been interested in politics, for like 22 years. I don't know how old you people think I am, but I'm 34. So like since I was like 12, been a Republican. So obviously there are people out there who genuinely are conservative, genuinely agree with the Republican platform or most of it, and lean that way, voted for Trump in 2016. I was working for the Michigan Republican Party at that time. I'm part of the reason why I won. I voted for him in 2020, right? So there's obviously Black people out there who genuinely are Republican, conservative, etc. There's people who have genuine conversions after they research, etc., etc. But there are people out there who know how to just get you excited. There was one college student who came out, took a picture with herself with a MAGA hat, and had the hashtags, hashtag walk away, hashtag MAGA, hashtag, Black Voices for Trump or whatever. And she's like, the left wants to keep us down and keep us silent, but no more. And so then she started putting out tweets and stuff or stuff online about how her parents saw her viral stuff and then they wanted to disown her. So she started asking for help. And she didn't get a lot of money. There was one viral misinformation story from Raw Story that claimed that she got like $150,000. I don't know what kind of stories she was coming up with, how much money she was getting at first. But the truth is she only got like, I don't know, maybe a couple $100, and GoFundMe refunded the money. But she said that Republicans are so desperate to not be called racist that she decided to capitalize off of that opportunity. So she figured that she could just say the magic words and then people would be like, take this money. And it didn't happen to the effect that she wanted. She said she kind of felt bad anyway. So she claimed that she started, refunding money because she didn't want to get it out of hand anyway because it was fraud. But people understand to a degree. So I'm not saying this Black Lives Matter activist is going on Fox and saying he'll stump for Trump because he wants to be a right-wing media darling. Maybe he genuinely dislikes Biden and genuinely wants to support Trump. Maybe that's all genuine, but maybe also he wants that praise and adoration as well and fame that would go along with being a Black person saying that they're supporting Trump. But his ideology doesn't make sense if he still wants to be associated with BLM, saying that, Joe Biden and other stuff that they're pushing for the family isn't good when BLM, that's their agenda. And when them wanting their agenda passed and put forward, Joe Biden has been so pro trans community and all the other stuff. He's been so much for that. So Patrisse Cullors was correct. Like, she didn't have to like Joe Biden or like the Democrats, but at the end of the day, the sort of things that they want to push, the sort of ideology they want to push that will help Marxism get more roots in America, that's funneled through the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party is a vehicle for that, and she knew it. So if he wants to do what's right by the country, they need to decouple people from BLM. Just saying that you want to support Trump doesn't make sense. Because when you look at the BLM stuff, I'm not saying that BLM can't be associated with wanting to do good things for their community, or BLM can't be associated with actually trying to address police brutality and other things like that in a nonviolent, positive sort of manner that moves the conversation forward. But they are associated with a lot of bad ideology and stuff. And they just make a new group. Just make a new group. Just make group Black Voices for Victory or something. And I don't know. And they could be like, the founder of this group supports Trump, and go from there. But BLM is not salvageable in that sort of way. It shouldn't be. You cannot go from, it's a domestic terrorist organization to, oh, they like Trump, I guess they're okay now. No. And you say, well, there's a lot of people associated with that group. You don't have to. You can be associated with those people and glad that they're going to vote for you, but don't legitimize them. This is so frustrating. This is so frustrating. And you cannot be so desperate for the Black vote that you will make these blunders. You cannot be that desperate for it. And people can smell They can smell the desperation. They can smell the desperation. They're like, well, how are they going to get the black vote? Just be competent. Be better with your messaging. Take some time to actually get it out there. Go into the communities and talk to people. Some people do that, but you cannot tell me it's a consistent thing because too many consultants think it's a waste of time. And consultants run different candidates' campaigns. And every campaign needs to make their own case. And all these campaigns need to be doing it in sync. And they need to be doing it for a while. Democrats didn't just gain all the support of the black community overnight. That happened through years of time. It's been going on a long time. And there was policies and stuff, yeah, that got them to there. But that was a lot of like pandering, a bunch of goodies that actually didn't pay off very well for the black community. But unless Republicans are willing to just start giving out goodies, which Trump was willing to do, but it still didn't work. It still didn't work. But you know, the Hispanic community, we don't particularly pander harder to them than we do to the black community. But there's a shift there in those numbers because they see economic opportunities. And there's a lot of people looking at like, well, my grandparents or parents or whatever came from, you know, under communism and other stuff like that, socialism and whatnot. And we didn't like it. And we don't want that here. We see that too much stuff with the Democrats there. We see too much with the Democrats not being aligned with our values. So we're going to vote differently for our economic benefit. You know, there's Republicans who are talking more about our values that we believe when we go to church, etc., blah, blah, blah. So we're going to try a little something different. So I don't think the pandering to the black community is necessarily working. It hasn't worked. It hasn't worked. So just stop the desperation. But you know what? When you want to say, hey, give us a chance, and people have a perception though, like, well, you guys can't govern pretty well. And they look at like the McCarthy situation and how there wasn't a speaker for a minute. That doesn't give people all the confidence in the world. So people aren't going to leave the devil they know and go to somebody else unless you can really convince them that it's worth it. Because it's one thing to have ambition and say, hey, we're going to get this done and do right by you. But if they don't believe that you can accomplish it, that you're not even competent enough to accomplish it, then why would they even bother? Why would they even bother? So this desperation that Republicans have to get that black vote, to be liked by Republicans, so much to the point where you have Trump saying like, I'm so happy to have BLM support. That is so disappointing. And the people just going along with it like, oh, that's so great. Stop it. Stop it. Again, and it's not even true. It's not even true. It's a guy. It's a guy. I would be very surprised if BLM decided to throw their weight behind Trump. But if they did, it would be a revamping strategy, a financial strategy, etc. Because if they genuinely believe that Trump is a vehicle to get their agendas done, I'd be very concerned about who they think Trump has become to think that. Because at the end of the day, Marxists are going to push Marxism. There's a book called Color, Communism, and Common Sense. And it's about written by a man who was someone who loved communism, but he wrote about how Black people would be recruited into communism and to support communism and stuff. They would use like real issues that were going on in America, legitimate issues and grievances to lure them into communism. But the thing about it was that at the end of the day, your love for the Black community, trying to uplift them, could never supersede communism. And if you wanted to defect, they would put in place different plans to delegitimize you. Like, I don't know, they'd set up some kind of woman to seduce you so you can have an affair. So if you're like, oh, you want to leave? Guess what? We're going to discredit you. They have plans in place to make you their communist slave forever, you know? So at the end of the day, BLM is going to be about the Marxist agenda. They're not going to be about doing things to really uplift the community. And that's when they start losing support, when there were some mainstream people, different athletes and so on, who was like, I looked at their platform and they're talking about disrupting the nuclear family. That doesn't sound like something that's going to help the Black community, because it's our family structure that's really messed up, that's caused some issues. And so I don't think BLM is a solution. And then after, because conservatives were talking about it a lot, nonstop. I was talking about nonstop, but then some like high profile athletes and other folks started going on mainstream media and stuff and talking about like, you know what, I don't like their what they're actually talking about. And then they decided to remove it from their website. But the internet is forever, and you can easily Google it and find out what they spent their money on and what their platform was and what they push and what they still believe. So this is really disappointing from Trump and frustrating. Not because it's so unbelievable. Because he's just happy, I guess, for any advantage that he thinks. But this is a huge there's a huge ideological difference there, or at least there should be, between what he wants for America and what BLM wants for America. You know, he's not responsible for everyone who decides to support him. There could be terrible people who support him and they're like, but you know what? I'm a bad person, and maybe he's not good for my my moral decisions. But you know what? The economy is going to be slapping. So if that's like BLM's like, you know, at the end of the day, we wanted a good economy or something, and that's why we're going for Trump. That would be a sensible reason for them to support Trump. That's not a sensible reason for Trump to be like, I'm so glad to have their support. So I can't in good conscience be ticked off at my friends and family and everybody who had a BLM hashtag in 2020 and then not say something about Trump tweeting this out on Truth Social. So I had to say my piece. You can be mad about it or not. You can agree or disagree. But I will always be honest about my feelings here with you guys. And some of you can take it, some of you can't. And is what it is. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me today. I told you that would take up our time. 2 stories. Please go blacktnews.com, check out different content on my website, different articles and videos, etc. If you like what I do here, please consider legal donation at blacktnews.com/donate. It does cost to stream and run my website, all that stuff, so you guys can support in that way. I very much do appreciate you guys. Check out different mugs and shirts that we have available on the website. Got pro-life stuff and all kinds of goodies that you guys can check out, so you can support in that sort of way. Also, this Saturday, if you are in Michigan area or close to the Metro Detroit area or Oakland County, my sister is having an art showcase in downtown Auburn Hills, and if you can make it, thank you. If you can't and you'd still like to get something from her gallery, you guys can go to tinastextportraits.com. I showed a trailer for her gallery showing that I made earlier in the broadcast. So if you came on late and you missed it, you can always rewind it back, or I did post it on my socials, so you can find it. So I encourage you guys to come. She is the artist who did the cover for my book, of course, God is Blatantly Against Abortion. So she does very beautiful work. So I encourage you all to go ahead and come out if you can. Again, thank you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. God bless.